It's not some science fantasy effect from 2001. This electronic display, emanating from Australia's largest computer, is a picture of the condition, past, present and future of planet Earth. The program was
Concern about rising temperatures on planet Earth heated up a hearing here in Washington today. For years, scientists have theorized about the dangers of the so-called greenhouse effect, the warming of the Earth's atmosphere due to the burning of coal and oil. And in recent months, as David Culhane reports, research has uncovered facts to support that theory.
It is now thought that by the first half of the next century, energy consumption will be up fourfold, and that the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere could have doubled.
Printed version of what we've just seen on the television screen. And what looks at first to be just a maze of computer characteristics is really a system of very simple graphs which project what's going to happen to the planet over the next 150 years if we don't do something drastic to stop it.
The temperature of the Earth's atmosphere has been rising over the past 100 years, that the great sheets of pack ice in Antarctica are melting at a much more rapid rate than previously. And finally, that the sea level has been rising with increasing swiftness over the past 40 years.
I consider these early warning signals sufficient to make me concerned that the trend is all in the direction of an impending catastrophe.
We have a horrible history of climate inaction, led by ignorance, hidden agendas, apathy, and most of all, greed. Come, let me walk you through it. 1896. Swedish scientist Svante Arrhenius finds that burning carbon affects the atmosphere. 1900. Swedish scientist Knut Engström links CO2 to greenhouse warming. 1938. British engineer Guy Callender finds that man-made CO2 is increasing the planet's mean temperatures. 1955. American researcher Gilbert Plass proposes that doubling CO2 would increase global temperatures by 3 to 4 degrees Celsius. 1957. Oceanographer Roger Revelle and chemist Hans Suess find that seawater will not absorb all the additional CO2 entering the atmosphere. 1958. American scientist Charles David Keeling begins measuring CO2 levels, which would show CO2 in the atmosphere is increasing. 1965. American President Lyndon B. Johnson is warned that greenhouse warming is of real concern. 1972. British meteorologist John Sawyer publishes a study on the impact of man-made carbon dioxide and accurately predicts the rate of global warming. 1977. The chief science advisor to United States President Jimmy Carter warns of catastrophic climate change. 1979. The United States National Research Council advises that the doubling of CO2 in the atmosphere could increase temperatures by 2 degrees Celsius to 3.5 degrees Celsius. 1988. American scientist James Hansen testifies before the United States Congress that human-produced carbon is warming the planet. 1989. British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher warns of the increase in CO2 entering the atmosphere and calls for a climate change treaty. 1992. Nations sign onto the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, though the treaty is without binding emissions targets. 1995. A scientific report concludes that there is a discernible human influence on the planet's climate. 1997. The Kyoto Protocol obligates developed countries to reduce their emissions. 2006, the Stern Review advised that climate change could damage the global GDP by 20%, but mitigating it would only cost 1% of GDP. 2009. Countries at a UN convention cannot agree on binding commitments. 2015. Global warming passes 1 degree Celsius. 2017. The United States announces it will withdraw from the Paris Agreement, which commits countries to action on climate change. 2023. average land and ocean surface temperatures are shattered as Earth records its hottest year in over 170 years of record keeping. When the world burns, justice eventually comes for all. The Faithless and the Damned by Sev Romero. Available now at all good bookstores.